Hello, we were assigned the reading from Attitude to Aptitude, Assuming the Stance of a College Writer by Ronald Lumsford. This will be a lesson explaining some of the points of the essay and kind of elaborating a little bit on it. I'll be reading from my transcript, so I hope that won't be too much for you, too boring, but you can also read the transcript. So here we go. There's a lot going on in this essay. As explained in the discussion board post, the essay comes from the anthology What is College Writing?, published by the National Council of Teachers of English. It is part of the overall debate or discussion writing teachers have with each other. The essay is attempting to answer the question, what is college-level writing, by providing examples of student writing. Lunsford begins his essay by discussing syntactic maturity, meaning the proper use of grammar and sentence structure. The goal of his entire essay is to show that while writing with proper syntax is an important part of writing well, it is more important for students to show development in critical thinking as they write. He claims that students will improve their grammar as they write, but they must be challenged to think. He does this by showing examples of student writing. The first example is from a science paper, and then there are two opinion pieces. The main difference, Lunsford asserts, is that the first paper demonstrates that the student is open to learning, which is the right attitude that he wants students to have. The problem with the second and even third opinion piece is that they lack the right attitude. These opinion papers don't demonstrate that the students are open to understanding or learning what someone's objection to subjects could be. They can't put themselves in the shoes of people with differing opinions. It's black and white. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Prayer is good, banning it is wrong. Drugs are bad, banning them is good. Lunsford acknowledges that the assignment to write an opinion is probably part of the problem. We can't expect first-year students to display the academic maturity of a fourth-year student. And that, I think, is the point of part of Lunsford's claim that college writing is what students bring to college, not what they leave college having obtained. Students haven't had their opinions challenged, they haven't met a lot of different people. Perhaps the students who wrote the biology paper wouldn't fare so well if asked to write an opinion piece. And therein lies part of my problem with Lunsford's example. He isn't comparing similar writing assignments and situations. The examples do work, however, to illustrate that none of the samples meet all of the criteria for college writing as listed on page 192. The evaluation of ideas, higher level thinking, good organization, integration of sources, and following standard rules of grammar, syntax, mechanics, usage, all that. So the question is, why did I have you read this? It's obviously not written for first year writing students to read. The answer, I think, lies in what we can learn from it. First, we see how college writing instructors evaluate student writing. Second, we see that there are many different ways to write well. And thirdly, and most importantly, I think, we can see that the instructor wants us to think and demonstrate that thinking about the topic. When Lunsford writes about learning or showing capability to learn, he wants students to show an understanding of complex ideas. In the opinion piece, he doesn't want the students to change her mind about prayer, but understand that it's a complicated issue. If we break down the essay, we don't see that. There's contradiction everywhere. In the essay's introduction, it starts with an anecdote about the teacher asking which student wants to lead the prayer. Later on, the writer acknowledges that the prayer doesn't have to be spoken out loud or take too much time. As readers, we should question, which is it? What do you want? It's inconsistent. Is the writer asking for specific prayer time with a prayer offered by a student or teacher, or a silent time to privately pray? If it's the latter, the writer should address why specific time should be set aside for that, since any student would be able to do that at any time, as the writer mentions having done herself. If it's the former, with an official prayer, then the bigger issue to address is which denomination should the prayer be? Lunsford points out that the student discusses other religions being left out. Would the Hindu students get to lead? A Muslim student? We should consider how quickly our opinion can change, knowing that God means their God as opposed to our God. But overall, I don't think Lunsford does a good job critiquing this paper. He could have pointed out that the student doesn't read into the language of the court decision about school prayer, but only provides a reaction from someone who feels their rights are being deprived. He could have also pointed out the paper doesn't distinguish between banning a school from leading prayer while upholding the student's right to private prayer. We see a better critique in the second opinion paper, where Lunsford offers his questions about the unequivocal nature at which the student writer says all drugs are bad, and we all know it. Here, we see the shallowness of thought from that student writer. Writer just says, it's wrong, we shouldn't make someone else something wrong illegal to save money. The question Lunsford asks help us see it. So what do we do now? One of the things Lunsford mentioned is the rhetorical situation. You can see the rhetorical situation in our Little Seagull handbook and in this short video I've linked in week 3. We can think deeper by understanding the assignment's goal, its purpose, why was it written, making assumptions about our audience, what do they know and what do they believe, consider our own stance, our own opinion on that topic, and considering how we are delivering our thoughts, the genre, what type of writing it is, and the media, how is it delivered to the audience. The first opinion piece on prayer could have easily been improved by acknowledging the difficulties of trying to accommodate the large variety of religious affiliations, denominations, rather than painting it as a simple black and white controversy, atheists versus theists, and by acknowledging that private prayer is legal. But the school taking on position that is favorable to one religion or denomination isn't. The paper on legalizing drugs doesn't fully represent the argument that the student is critiquing, which seems to be rather that than putting drug addicts in jail, we should give them treatment options like we do with alcoholics. Acknowledging that might help the students make better arguments. The paper struggles because even though the student read and understood the argument, the writer refused to even consider the possibility of the idea. So, throughout this course, we're going to challenge our thinking and grow as writers. We're going to read some challenging works, and that will help us think differently. We grow by hearing different perspectives. We grow by trying to connect ideas in our writing. We become better writers by trying to say something new. Last week, I asked you to consider that all writing is responsive. All writing is responding to something. We use the rhetorical situation to evaluate what we are responding to, and then use the rhetorical situation to write our response. That is how we're going to become better writers. So hopefully this is helpful. Happy writing.